Tonight, a CBS News New York investigation. An NYPD officer's career ended by a drugged driver.
For months now, we have shared stories of New Yorkers whose lives were altered by impaired drivers that at times the state won't prosecute. Tonight, investigator Mahsa Saeidi continues to push for action to close a dangerous loophole.
Call me a bus. I'm all right. Call me a bus.
That's the voice of an NYPD officer requesting help. He was investigating a crash between a car and a truck in Brooklyn when he was hit by the truck. His legs crushed.
Somebody help me sit up.
God, I thought you moved his car.
The truck driver is visibly alarmed. As the injured officer is rushed to the hospital, police administer a field sobriety test.
You're going to place your right foot in front of your left foot, heel to toe. Don't use the
Diabetic, doctor. I'm
okay. All right, look at me. You can't keep balance?
I'm dizzy as hell.
In New York, to charge an impaired driver, police must name the exact drug ingested and confirm it's on a pre-existing list. If they can't, law enforcement says alleged drug drivers like this man are off the hook.
You got a driver's license on you?
Yes, sir.
It's really frustrating.
Last year, the chair of the NTSB told me only 4 states have this loophole. The chair, the victims of drug drivers, and law enforcement all say New York must close this loophole.
So what'd you take? What'd you take?
If you see impairment roadside and you can't name that drug, the current law wants you to let that person go. One impaired driver is one too many.
NYPD Detective Tim Kessler is the department's DWI coordinator. He's trained tens of thousands to detect drug drivers. Kessler says after the officer was hit by the truck driver in Brooklyn, he had to retire.
It was very difficult. I mean, this was a young officer, started his career, and just to see somebody so reckless, somebody that's done it before.
6 years before.
Being arrested is what he deserves if he's driving without a license.
That's the same driver getting a field sobriety test after a crash in Queens in 2015. Kessler says he struck and killed a bicyclist while high.
An experienced drug user knows these issues and these problems that law enforcement faces, so they lied to us.
To pin down the drug the driver allegedly took, Kessler says police conducted additional tests, only able to charge the driver by chance.
He was only admitting to his prescription medications, leaving out the illicit drugs that he was taking. Since one of those drugs was on the list, we were able to ultimately charge him.
For months, we repeatedly asked the governor's office if she wanted to revise the law. Hochul's office would only say public safety was her top concern, quote, which is why she's taken action to stop car thefts and crack down on ghost vehicles. To get clarification on the governor's stance this month, we caught up with her after an unrelated press conference.
Do you want to close this loophole? Is this a priority for you, or is there a reason to leave the loophole open?
No, I don't think we should have a loophole that allows people who are under the influence to get behind a wheel. Do not believe that. But the governor needs the legislature to act as well. Sometimes it takes a few times to get it right, but we've not ignored that issue because it's critically important.
It's been 20 years. Thanks. Is it a priority for you? This loophole has been in place for 20 years. Is this a priority for you, this upcoming
I'll continue to focus
session?
on it, and we'll work the hardest we can with the legislature to get it finished.
Great. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, everybody.
2 weeks later in her State of the State speech, no mention of changing the drug driving laws. But in the corresponding book, page 45, it stated the governor, quote, will propose legislation to close critical loopholes, such as expanding the universe of prosecutable substances.
There's a large amount of drugs that, one, aren't being tested for, that aren't on that list, that people are taking commonly every single day, that's impairing them to the extent that they're unable to operate that vehicle safely, and they're on the roadways next to us.
So the governor has prioritized this issue for legislative fix by putting it in the budget bill. So naturally, the next question is, what are lawmakers going to do? We've been trying to get an answer. So for weeks, we have reached out to the 2 people in Albany who hold so much power. That's Assembly Speaker Carl Hastie and Senate Majority Leader Andrea Stewart-Cousins. We called, emailed, sent messages to both leaders, their office, and their staff. So far, no one has responded to us. And it's not just us asking these questions. It's people who have lost loved ones to drug drivers. They want answers. And KJ, Jessica, so far, these lawmakers, not only are they not engaging in a conversation as to why they've had this loophole in place for years, they won't even release a statement to us.
Wow. And you said 20 years this has been law. It's mind-boggling, Mahsa. What happened to the truck driver that hit the officer?
So he was convicted of drug driving. It was his second offense. So right now he's at a facility in Brooklyn. He could be out as early as December. And the 2015 case where he killed a woman, according to authorities, he was sentenced to 1.5 to 3 years. He did his time. He came back out, and police said he's back on the road. Allegedly,
reoffending, right?
Reoffending, yeah.
Well, I just hope that with the Democratic-controlled assembly, they can all agree on something here with the governor and get this done once and for all, Mahsa. Thank you.
Thank you, Mahsa. And if you have a story you'd like Mahsa to investigate, let her know by scanning the QR code on your screen. You may see your story on our air.